Recording. Haribol. Somebody has to call Gautam.
Mataji has started, Mataji.
Yeah. So Lord is appreciating. He says, "Oh Lord, you're looking so beautiful. You are looking so beautiful when you are seated as the Sarathi. Your hairs are looking so beautiful because of the dust of the battlefield. The hairs were turned to ash, color of ashen. It has been given, turned ashen due to the dust raised by the hoofs of the horses. The sweats are also looking like the beads. You're so beautiful. Now, 35th verse, first canto, 9th chapter. Sapadi saki vacho nishamya madhye निजपरयोर्बलयोरथं निवेश्य कृतवती परसैनिकायुरक्षणा हृतवती पार्थसखे रतिर्ममस्तु sapadi on the battlefield. Saki vachaha, command of the friend. Nishamya, after hearing. Madhye, in the midst. Nija, his own. Parayoho, and the opposite party. Balayoho, strength. Ratham, chariot. Niveshya, having entered. Sitavati, while staying there. Parasainika, of the soldiers on the both sides. Ayuho, duration of life. Akshana, by looking over. Hritavati, act of diminishing. Partha, of Arjuna, son of Pratha, Kunti, Sakhe, unto the friend. Ratihi, intimate relation, Mamamai, as to there be. So you obeyed the command of your friend. You entered the arena of the battlefield between both the parties. And there he shortened the lifespan of the opposite party. So in Bhagavad Gita also we see that how Krishna shows to Arjuna, see, all are standing on the other side. When he's pointing out and showing everyone, there itself he has shortened the life of everyone just by his glance. Just by looking at the enemy, this was done just by his looking at the enemy. Let my mind be fixed on that Krishna. Now, which Krishna he loves? He loves the Parthasarathi form of Krishna. Krishna has multifarious forms. Every devotee likes a particular Leela of Krishna. Like Satyabrat Muni, he says, let my mind be always focused on that Krishna who appears to be very fearful after stealing the butter. When Yashoda is showing the stick and Krishna is rubbing the eyes and crying. Now let my mind be fixed on that Krishna who seems to be very fearful. Every Acharya, every Muni has one pastime. Every devotee has a pastime in which his mind gets fixed up. Now here, Bhishma Pitama is saying, I want to always see that form where you have taken the chariot between the two armies. You obeyed to the command of your friend. And just by looking at everyone, you have already killed them. You've taken their pranas. So I want to see that Krishna. Parthasarathi form is loved by Bhishma Deva. That is why Bhishma Deva is an eternal associate of Lord in the Parthasarathi Loka. Lord has different lokas. There is one loka known as Parthasarathi Loka, where Bhishma Deva is eternally standing on the opposite side, having the Virya Rasa with Krishna, fighting more. And sometimes the children fight with father. They sit on the chest. They act to fight. That is also one pastime, isn't it? Then the father acts as if he's defeated. And sometimes father defeats the son. So this type of dushum, like fighting with the father. So this type of Virya Rasa is enjoyed by Bhishma Deva with Krishna. Okay. Adi Satviki Mataji, read. Your voice, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji,
Yeah, read.
Verse 35. Sapadi sakibacha nisamya madhye nijaparayorbalayoratham niveshya sitavati parasainikayuraksna ritavati partha sakhe ratir mamastu. 1 second, Mataji. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In obedience to the command of his friend Lord Shri Krishna, entered the arena of the battlefield of Kurukshetra between the soldiers of Arjuna and Duryodhana. And while there, he shortened the lifespans of the opposite party by his merciful glance. This was done simply by his looking at the enemy. Let my mind be fixed upon that Krishna. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita 121-25, Arjuna ordered the infallible Lord Shri Krishna to place his chariot between the phalanx of the soldiers. He asked him to stay there until he had finished observing the enemies he had to face in the battle. When the Lord was so asked, he at once did so, just like an order carrier. And the Lord pointed out all the important men on the opposite side, saying, here is Bhishma, here is Drona, and so on. The Lord, being the supreme living being, he is never the order supplier or order carrier of anyone, whoever he may be. But out of his causeless mercy and affection for his pure devotees, sometimes he carries out the order of the devotee like an awaiting servant. By executing the order of a devotee, the Lord becomes pleased, as a father is pleased to carry out the order of his small child. This is possible only out of pure transcendental love between the Lord and his devotees. And Vishmadeva was quite aware of this fact. He therefore addressed the Lord as the friend of Arjuna. The Lord diminished the duration of life of the opposite party by his merciful glance. It is said that all the fighters who assembled on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained salvation by personally seeing the Lord at the time of death. Therefore, his diminishing the duration of life of Arjuna's enemy does not mean that he was partial to the cause of Arjuna. Factually, he was merciful to the opposite party because they would not have attained salvation by dying at home in the course of life. Here was the chance to see the Lord at the time of death and thus attain salvation from material life. Therefore, the Lord is all good, and whatever he does is for everyone's good. Apparently, it was for the victory of Arjuna, his friend, but factually, it was for the good of Arjuna's enemies. Such are the transcendental activities of the Lord, and whoever understands these also gets salvation after quitting this material body. The Lord does no wrong in any circumstance because he is absolute, all good at all times. Thank you, Mataji.
Vyavahita prutanamukham nirikshya swajanavadha dvimukhasya dosha buddhaya kumati maharadatma vidyaya yaha charanarati paramasya tasya mestu. Vyavahita, standing at a distance, Pratanaha, soldiers, Mukham, faces, Nirikshya, by looking upon, Swajana, kinsmen, Vedhat, Vadhat, from the act of killing, Vimukhasya, one who is reluctant, Dosha Buddhya, by polluted intelligence, Kumatim, poor fund of knowledge, Aharata, eradicated, Atma Vidya, by transcendental knowledge, Yaha, he who, Charana, to the feet, Ratihi, attraction, Paramasya, of the Supreme, Tasya, for him, may my, Astu, there, let there be. So let the lotus feet of the Lord always remain the object of my attraction. Now, which Leela is spoken here? The Lord eradicating the ignorance, the poor fund of knowledge, Kumatim Aharat, eradicating the ignorance of Arjuna by giving him Atma Vidya, the transcendent knowledge. So, after seeing the soldiers, Arjuna was put into ignorance, was seemingly polluted. Seemingly polluted means was intentionally put into ignorance, so that Krishna can give the transcendental knowledge. And we know this, we have studied in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. That is how the platform is made. Purva Kriya. Purva Kriya is the ignorance which Arjuna has after seeing his own people. And let his lotus feet be the object of my attraction. Kusum, read.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranam. Vyavahita Pritana Mukham Niriksha Swajanavadat Vimukkasya Dosha Buddhya Kumati Maharad Atma Vidyaya Yash Charanarati Paramasya Tasya Mestu. Translation in purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When Arjuna was seemingly polluted by ignorance, upon observing the soldiers and commanders before him on the battlefield, the Lord eradicated his ignorance by delivering transcendental knowledge. May his lotus feet always remain the object of my attraction. Purport: the kings and the commanders were to stand in the front of the fighting soldiers. That was the system of actual fighting. The kings and commanders were not so-called presidents or ministers of defense as they are today. They would not stay home while the poor soldiers or mercenaries were fighting face to face. This may be the regulation of modern democracy, but when actual monarchy was prevailing, the monarchs were not cowards elected without consideration of qualification. As it was evident from the battlefield of Kurukshetra, all the executive heads of both the parties like Drona, Bhishma, Arjuna, and Duryodhana were not sleeping. All of them were actual participants in the fighting, which was selected to be executed at a place away from the civil residential quarters. This means that the innocent citizens were immune from all effects of fighting between the rival royal parties. The citizens had no business in seeing what was going to happen during such fighting. They were to pay one-fourth of their income to the ruler, whether he be Arjuna or Duryodhana. All the commanders of the parties on the battlefield of Kurukshetra were standing face to face, and Arjuna saw them with great compassion and lamented that he was to kill his kinsmen on the battlefield for the sake of the empire. He was not at all afraid of the giant military phalanx presented by Duryodhana, but as a merciful devotee of the Lord, renunciation of worldly things was natural for him, and thus he decided not to fight for worldly possessions. But this was due to a poor fund of knowledge, and therefore it is said here that his intelligence became polluted. His intelligence could not be polluted at any time because he was a devotee and constant companion of the Lord, as is the chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Apparently, Arjuna's intelligence became polluted because otherwise there would not have been a chance to deliver the teachings of Bhagavad Gita for the good of all polluted conditioned souls engaged in material bondage by the conception of the false material body. The Bhagavad Gita was delivered to the conditioned souls of the world to deliver them from the wrong conception of identifying the body with the soul and to re-establish the soul's eternal relation with the Supreme Lord. Atma Vidya, or transcendental knowledge of himself, was primarily spoken by the Lord for the benefit of all the concerned in all parts of the universe. Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you.
So in the first, if you see in the second chapter, first verse itself. What is the qualification for Arjuna to study to hear Bhagavad Gita? Because of his wonderful nature. He had no retaliating nature. Also, he had no desire for the material things. That is why Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. Though he was put in ignorance, he was actually in knowledge only. But he apparently, it seems that he is in ignorance, but the knowledge is given to all of us. Swanigamam apahaya mat pratigyam rutam adhikartum avapluto rathastaha dhutaratha charanobhyachalatagnu dhutaratha charanobhyachaladgur haririvahantu mibham gatottariyah swanigamam apahaya mat pratigyam rutam avapluto rathastaha dhutaratha charanobhyachaladgur haririvahantu mibham gatotariyah. Swanigamam, own truthfulness, apahaya, for nullifying, mat pratigyam, my own promise, rutam, factual, adhi, more, kartum, for doing it, avaplutaha, getting down, rathastaha, from the chariot, druta, taking up, ratha, chariot, charana, wheel, abhyayat, went hurriedly, chaladghu, trampling the earth, hari, lion, iva, like, hantum, to kill, ibham, elephant, gata, leaving aside, utariya, covering, cloth. So now, Krishna wanted to fulfill the desire. He says, Krishna wanted to fulfill my desire and sacrifice his own promise. So he got down from the chariot, took up the wheel, ran towards me, just like a lion goes to kill an elephant. He even dropped his outer garment on the way. So you have what you call,
Angavastra.
what you call the upper garment, Angavastra. You have the Angavastra. Angavastra. It was dropped, and Krishna is hurriedly coming, taking the wheel in the hand, chariot, the wheel of the chariot. Whatever wheel he catches, that becomes Sudarshan, because Sudarshan enters that. Now he took the wheel of the chariot, and he is running hurriedly towards Bhishma. Now Bhishma Pitama got down from the chariot, folded his hands, and was looking at the wonderful, beautiful form of Krishna. That is why Krishna is one of the name is Satyavrata. He proves the words of the devotees to be true. Bhishma had taken the vow that I will kill the Pandavas. Krishna sends Draupadi and asks her to pay obeisances, keeping her head covered with the veil. When Bhishma Deva gives blessings, Saubhagyavati Bhava, then naturally he has broken the vow of Bhishma. Bhishma comes to know, then he also takes the vow. Let me see that how Krishna fulfills his vow. Because Krishna has taken the vow of not participating in the war. But now he has to participate. I'll see that I break his vow. Now to prove the statements of Bhishma Deva, here Krishna broke his vow, took the wheel in his hand and ran hurriedly towards Bhishma. And when Bhishma Deva sees this wonderful form, immediately gets down from the chariot. And that is the time Amba, who comes as Shikhandi, gets the chance to throw arrows at Bhishma. So in one action, Krishna has fulfilled the desire of everyone. Amba had done a lot of tapasya and taken a vow to kill Bhishma. And that also became. And then here Krishna wanted to show that I'll prove the words of my devotees to be true. I also became. And again, Krishna is fulfilling the desire of Bhishma Deva. Bhishma Deva wants to see the wonderful form of Krishna. And so in one action, everything is covered. That's why Krishna's actions are very wonderful, all good. That has been described. Narayana read.
Yes, Mataji. स्वनिगममपाहा स्वनिगममपाहाय मत्प्रतिज्ञा मत्प्रतिज्ञां ऋतमधिकर्तुम् अव ऋतमधिकर्तुम् कर्तुमवप्लुतो रथस्थः धृतरथचरणोऽभ्ययाचलद्रुक् हरिरिव हन्तुम् इभं गततोरियः. It's a very hard verse.
Yeah. So many Sandhi Vigras are there.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: fulfilling my vow and sacrificing his own promise, he got down from the chariot, took up its wheel, and ran towards me hurriedly, just as a lion goes to kill an elephant. He even dropped his outer garment on the way. Purport: the battle of Kurukshetra was fought on military principles, but at the same time, in a sporting spirit, like a friend's fight with another friend. Duryodhana criticized Bhishma Deva, alleging that he was reluctant to kill Arjuna because of his paternal affection. A Kshatriya cannot tolerate insults on the principle of fighting. Bhishma Deva therefore promised that the next day he would kill all 5 Pandavas with special weapons made for the purpose. Duryodhana was satisfied and he kept the arrows with him to be delivered the next day during the fight. By tricks, Arjuna took the arrows from Duryodhana, and Bhishma Deva could understand that this was the trick of Lord Krishna. So he took a vow that the next day Krishna would have to take up weapons himself, otherwise his friend Arjuna would die. In the next day's fighting, Bhishma Deva fought so violently that both Arjuna and Krishna were in trouble. Arjuna was almost defeated. The situation was so tense that he was about to be killed by Bhishma Deva the very next moment. At that time, Lord Krishna wanted to please his devotee Bhishma by keeping Bhishma's promise, which was more important than his own. Seemingly, he broke his own promise. He promised before the beginning of the battle of Kurukshetra that he would remain without weapons and would not use his strength for either of the parties. But to protect Arjuna, he got down from the chariot, took up the wheel of the chariot, and hurriedly rushed at Bhishma Deva in an angry mood, as a lion goes to kill an elephant. He dropped his covering cloth on the way, and out of great anger, he did not know that he had dropped it. Bhishma Deva at once gave up his weapons and stood to be killed by Krishna, his beloved Lord. The fighting of the day was thus ended at that very moment, and Arjuna was saved. Of course, there was no possibility of Arjuna's death because the Lord himself was on the chariot. But because Bhishma Deva wanted to see Lord Krishna take up some weapon to save his friend, the Lord created this situation, making Arjuna's death appear imminent. He stood before Bhishma Deva to show him that his promise was fulfilled and that he had taken up the wheel. Hare Krishna.
So very nicely it has been said here. It seems that Arjuna would have been killed. And Krishna, out of great anxiety, getting down from the chariot to protect his devotee, in spite of his taking vow, but actually he wanted to prove the words of Bhishma to be true. Nice, Krishna's pastimes are very wonderful. Okay, 38th verse. Shita Vishi Kahato Vishirna Danshaha Kshatajaparippluta Atataino me Prasabhamabhisasara Madbhavadartham Sabhavatu me Bhagavan Gatir Mukundaha. Shita sharp, Vishikha arrows, Hataha wounded by, Vishirna Damshaha scattered shield, Shataja by wounds, Paripluta smeared with blood, Atatayinaha the great aggressor, May my prasabham, in an angry mood, Abhisasar began to move on. Mat vadhartham, for the purpose of killing me. Saha, he. Bhavatu may become, may my Bhagavan. Thus, personality of Godhead, Kati, destination, Mukundaha, who awards salvation. So, let Mukunda be my destination. Mukunda awards salvation. Mukhara Kundavati Mukundaha, whose lotus face is like Kunda flower. Let it be my Gati, destination. On the battlefield, he charged me as if angry because of the wounds dealt by my sharp arrows. Shita Vishika Hataha, as if wounded by the sharp arrows. Vishinadamshaha, as if he is wounded. That is why he ran towards me, Prasabham. How? In an angry mood. He wanted to kill me. And his shield was scattered. And his blood and his body was smeared with blood due to the wounds. I was throwing sharp arrows. And we saw that how the wounds created by the arrows of Bhishma was reminding Krishna of the gopis of Vrindavan. So, Krishna loves Bhishma because even in the Kurukshetra, in the war, in the battlefield, Krishna is reminded of the bites of the gopis. So, in the purport last time we saw that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, when there is a conjugal love at that time, the lover sometimes bites out of intense sexual desire. So Krishna is reminded of the gopis. You see, in the battlefield, Krishna is reminded of the gopis of Vrindavan. His wonderful dealings with the gopis. Now, what Bhishma will understand? Bhishma Pitamaha says, "Oh, I charged you. I charged you with the sharp arrows, and you got down as if you are very angry with me. You came to kill me. Your shield was scattered. But your lotus feet, let that be my destination. Mukunda. Mukunda means your lotus feet, which is like the Kunda flower. Your Mukharvindaha. Your Mukharvind is like the Kunda flower. Let that be my destination." Gajendra Sutta Prabhupada, read.
Hare Krishna. Shita Vishikha Ato Visirna Damshara Sahaja Paripluta
Shataja Paripluta. Shataja
sorry. Sataja Pariplutaha Atatha Ino Me
Atataino me.
Atatha Ino Me Prashabham Abhisasara Mat Padhartam
Abhisasara mad vadartham abhisasara.
Prasabham Abhisasara Mat Padhartam
Sabhavatu me.
Sa Bhavatu Me Bhagavan Yatir Mukunda.
Read.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. May he, Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God, who awards salvation be my ultimate destination. On the battlefield, he charged me, as if angry because of the wounds dealt by my sharp arrows. His shield was scattered, and his body was smeared with blood due to the wounds. The dealing of Lord Krishna and Bhishma on the battlefield of Kurukshetra are interesting because the activities of Lord Sri Krishna appear to be partial to Arjuna and had enmity with Bhishma. But actually, all this was especially meant to show special favor to Bhishma, a great devotee of the Lord. The astounding feature of such dealings is that a devotee can please the Lord by playing the part of an enemy. The Lord he absolutely can accept service from his pure devotee even in the garb of an enemy. The Supreme Lord cannot have anything, nor can a so-called enemy harm it because he is a Ajita or unquenchable, but still he takes pleasure when his pure duty beats him like an enemy or rebukes him from a superior position. Although no one can be superior to the Lord, there are some of the transcendental reciprocatory dealings with the devotee of the Lord, and those who hammer, those pure devotional service cannot penetrate these.
Your
This may
voice
they
is not
pray to
coming properly.
this.
Read properly. Read
Okay,
properly.
Mataji.
Yeah.
Vishnudev played the part of a valiant warrior, and he purposely reached the body of the Lord so that to the common eyes it appeared that the Lord was wounded. But actually all this was to deliver the non-devotees. The all spiritual body cannot be wounded, but a devotee cannot become the enemy of the Lord. Had it been so, Vishnudev would not have desired to have the very same Lord as the ultimate destination of his life. Had Vishnudev been an enemy of the Lord, Lord Krishna who could have annihilated him without even moving. There was no need to come before Vishnudev with blood and wounds. But he did so because the warrior devotee wanted to see the transcendental beauty of the Lord decorated with wands created by a pure beauty. This is the way of exchanging transcendental rasa, or relation between the Lord and the servitor. By such dealing, both the Lord and the devotee become glorified in their respective position. The Lord was so angry that Arjuna checked him when he was moving toward Bhismadev. But in spite of Arjuna's checking, he proceeded toward Bhismadev as a lover goes to a lover without caring for hindrance. Apparently, his determination was to kill Bhishmadeva, but actually it was to please him a great duty of the Lord. The Lord is undoubtedly the deliverer of all conditioned soul. The impersonalized desire salvation from him, and he always awarded them according to the aspiration. But here, Vishnudev aspire to see the Lord is personal teacher. All pure duty aspire for this. Hare Krishna. Well,
Here, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, Abhisasara is used to indicate a hero desiring to meet his lover. So he got down from the chariot. It appears that he's coming to kill me, but actually it is like a hero coming to meet his lover. In a similar way, I became extraordinarily happy when Krishna approached me in anger. So that Mukunda be my object of love. Abhisasar. For that, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur writes a commentary. Okay, 39th verse. Vijaya Ratha Kutumba Atatotre Dhrutahaya Rashmini Dhrutahaya Rashmini Tat Shriye Kshaniye Bhagavati Rathirastu Me Mumursho Yam Iha Nirikshya Hata Gata Swarupam. Vijaya Arjuna Ratha Kutumbe Atatotre. Chariot Kutumbe, the object of protection at all risk. Atatotre, with a whip in his right hand. Dritahaya, controlling the horses. Rashmini, ropes. Tatshriya, beautifully standing. Ikshaniye, to look at. Bhagavati, unto the personality of Godhead. Rathiyastuhu, let my attraction be. Mumursho, one who is about to die. Yam, upon whom Iha, in this world. Niriksha, by looking. Hata, those who died. Gata, attained. Swarupam, original form. At the moment of death, let my ultimate attraction be to Krishna, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. I concentrate my mind upon the chariot driver of Arjuna, who stood with a whip in his hand and a bridle rope in his left. who was very careful to give protection to Arjuna's chariot by all means. Those who saw him on the battle of Kurukshetra attained their original forms after death. That means they got their Siddha Swarupa. So he was enacting the role of the chariot driver very perfectly. So whip in his right hand, bridle rope in his left hand, carefully protecting Arjuna's chariot. So beautiful. And those who saw this form of Krishna, they attained their Siddha Swarupa. So this, at the moment of death, let my ultimate attraction be to that Krishna. That means Parthasari Swarupa of Krishna. Okay. So Vasandani Prabhu. Triplican. Tiruvallikanni.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
You made a lot of mistakes, na? You made a lot of mistakes in that only Parthasarthi form. Triplican. Tiruvallikanni. Read, you have got that only verse.
Thank you, Mataji, for service. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Vijaya Ratta Kutumba Atta Totre Dhrite Haya Rashmini Tat Shri Ekshenya Shanye Bhagavati Ratir Yastu Me Mumurso Yam Iha Nirikshya Hata Gata Swarupam. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. At the moment of death, let my ultimate attraction be to Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. I concentrate my mind upon the chariot driver of Arjuna, who stood with a whip in his right hand and a bridle rope in his left, who was very careful to give protection to Arjuna's chariot by all means. Those who saw him on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained their original forms after death. Purport. A pure devotee of the Lord constantly sees the presence of the Lord within himself because of being transcendentally related by loving service. Such a pure devotee cannot forget the Lord for a moment. This is called trance. The mystic yogi tries to concentrate upon the supersoul by controlling the senses from all other engagements, and thus he ultimately attains samadhi. A devotee more easily attains samadhi or trance by constantly remembering the Lord's personal features along with his holy name, fame, pastimes, etc. Therefore, the concentration of the mystic yogi and that of a devotee are not on the same level. The concentration of the mystic is mechanical, whereas that of the pure devotee is natural in pure love and spontaneous affection. Bhishma Deva was pure devotee, and as military marshal, he constantly remembered the battlefield feature of the Lord as Parthasarthi, the chariot driver of Arjuna. Therefore, the Lord's pastime as Parthasarthi is also eternal. The pastimes of Lord, beginning from his birth at the prison house of Kansa up to the Maushala Leela at the end, all move one after another in all the universes, just as the clock hand moves from one point to another. And in such pastimes, his associates like the Pandavas and Bhishma are constant eternal companions. So Bhishma Deva never forgot the beautiful feature of the Lord as Parthasarthi, which even Arjuna could not see. Arjuna was behind the beautiful Parthasarthi, while Bhishma Deva was in front of the Lord. As far as the military feature of the Lord is concerned, Bhishma Deva observed this with more relish than Arjuna. All the soldiers and persons on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained their original spiritual forms like the Lord after their death, because by the causeless mercy of the Lord, they were able to see him face to face on that occasion. The conditional soul rotating in the evolutionary cycle from the aquatics up to the form of Brahma are all in the form of Maya, or the form obtained by one's own actions and awarded by material nature. The material forms of the conditioned soul are all foreign dresses, and when the conditioned soul becomes liberated from the clutches of the material energy, he attains his original form. The impersonalist wants to attain the impersonal Brahman effulgence of the Lord, but that is not at all congenial to the living sparks, parts and parcel of the Lord. Therefore, the impersonalists again fall down and get material forms, which are all false to the spirit soul. A spiritual form like the Lord's, either two-handed or four-handed, is attained by the devotees of the Lord either in the Vaikuntha's or in the Goloka planet. According to the original nature of the soul, this form, which is 100% spiritual, is the Swarupa of the living being. And all the living beings who participated on the battlefield of Kurukshetra on both sides attained their Swarupa as confirmed by Bhishma Deva. So Lord Sri Krishna was not merciful only to the Pandavas, he was also merciful to the other parties because all of them attained the same results. Bhishma Deva wanted the same facility also, and his prayer to the Lord. Although his position as an associate of the Lord is assured in all circumstances. The conclusion is that whoever dies looking on the personality of Godhead within or without attains his Swarupa, which is the highest perfection of life. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
In the commentary by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is given that Bhishma has a desire that even the unrighteous also should develop prema for Krishna. For Krishna protects his devotees. That is why Krishna is giving opportunities even to the adharmis to look at him and get the spiritual bodies. Now, Ichha Mrityu has been given to Bhishma, and Bhishma knows that Krishna is going to end his leelas. Then when will he see Krishna's beautiful face? That is why he wants to end his body before Krishna ends his pastime. Because this pastime is eternally going to be released. Though not in this body, but in the eternal body, he is going to release this leela of seeing Krishna. Because it is said, Yambyam vapi smaranam bhavam tejatyante kalevaram. Also, marane yaha mati sagatihi. Whatever thoughts you have at the time of quitting the body, that type of body a person attains. So in the Parthasarthi Loka, eternally Krishna is present in the form of a charioteer. That is why here, whip in his hand and reins in the left hand. This beautiful form, I just want to see. I want to see this form. By seeing this form, many of the unrighteous people also got love of Godhead. Arjuna could not see this form. He was sitting behind. But I could see the form, and all the unrighteous people also saw this form. So in this way, he wanted to mention that Krishna is merciful to everyone. Okay, next. Lalita Gati Vilasa Valguhasa Pranaya Nirikshana Kalpitorumanaha Krutamanukruta Vatya Unmadandha Prakriti Magankila Yasya Gopavadvaha. Vasandhani Prabhu, mute your phone. Lalit attractive, Gati movements, Vilasaha fascinating acts, Valguhasaha sweet smiling, Pranaya loving, Nirikshanaha looking upon, Kalpitaha mentally, Urumanaha highly glorified, Krita Manu Krita Vahdyaha in the act of copying the movements, Unmada Andaha gone mad in ecstasy, Prakritim characteristics, Agana underwent Kila certainly, Yasya whose Gopavadaha the covered damsels, Let my mind be fixed upon Lord Sri Krishna, whose motions and smiles of love attracted the damsels of Vrajabhumi, the gopis. The damsels imitated the characteristic movements of the Lord after his disappearance from the last dance. So in the Gopi Geet, we know that how the gopis were imitating the movements of Krishna. So let my mind be fixed on this beautiful movement of Krishna. Krishna running and coming towards me. Krishna's activities are so fascinating. When he walks, it seems like a dance. And when he dances, what it will be? Unmadandaha. The gopis have become mad in ecstasy. So that is the characteristics of Krishna, that he makes everybody maddened. So let this attractive gati means movements, is lalita gatihi. Let this attractive moments which are performing fascinating acts with Krishna's sweet smile, let this be the object of my attraction. So let my mind be fixed upon Krishna. Okay. Bimla, read.
हरे कृष्ण माता जी। ललित गति विलास वल्गुहास प्रणय निरीक्षण कल्पी तोरुमाना कृतमनु कृतवत्य उन्मादं दांधा प्रकृति मदन किल्लयस्य गोपवध्य वध्वः। Translation: Let my mind be fixed upon Lord Shri Krishna, whose motions and smiles of love attracted the damsels of Rajdham, the gopis. The damsels imitated the characteristic movements of the Lord after his disappearance from the Ras dance. Purport: by intense ecstasy in loving service, the damsels of Rajbhumi attained qualitative oneness with the Lord by dancing with him on an equal level, embracing him in nuptial love, smiling at him in joke, and looking at him with a loving attitude. The relation of the Lord with Arjuna is undoubtedly praiseworthy for devotees like Bhishma Deva, but the relation of the gopis with the Lord is still more praiseworthy because of their still more purified loving service. By the grace of the Lord, Arjuna was fortunate enough to have the fraternal service of the Lord as chariot driver, but the Lord did not award Arjuna with equal strength. The gopis, however, practically became one with the Lord by attainment of equal footing with the Lord. Bhishma's aspiration to remember the gopis is a prayer to have their mercy also at the last stage of his life. The Lord is satisfied more when his pure devotees are glorified, and therefore Bhishma Deva has not only glorified the acts of Arjuna, his immediate object of attraction, but also remembered the gopis who were endowed with unrivaled opportunities by rendering loving service to the Lord. The gopis' equality with the Lord should never be misunderstood to be like the Sayujya liberation of the impersonalist. The equality is one of the perfect ecstasy where the differential conception is completely eradicated for the interests of the lover and the beloved become identical. Hare Krishna.
So here, fortune of the devotees of Arjuna is there in the previous verse, but here gopis are more fortunate than even Arjuna. They are more exalted. They have more exalted prema. That is, Madhurya Rasa is the topmost. So here, Bhishma Deva is remembering the position of the gopis. I will be successful at my death just by indicating their nature. Just by remembering the gopis of Vrindavan, I will be successful. Yes, Arjuna's position is topmost, no doubt, in the Sakya Rasa. But beyond Sakya Rasa is Madhurya Rasa, Vatsalya than Madhurya. Just by remembering the gopis of Vrindavan, my life will become successful. That has been given. And it also indicates that everybody should remember the extraordinary fortune of the gopis of Vrindavan. That Krishna dancing with them, speaking to them, dancing with them, singing with them. This is something which is very extraordinary. So the Ras Leela pastimes of Krishna is the topmost in all the Leelas of Krishna. So here Bhishma Deva says, let me remember the greatest fortune or the topmost or the extraordinary fortune of the gopis of Vrindavan, by which my life can be successful at the time of death. I can be successful at the time of death. Next. Muni. So here what has been mentioned, one has to remember the gopis of Vrindavan at the time of quitting the body. Because it is only the gopis who can allow us inside the family of Krishna. No one else has that ability to take us in the family. Gopala Pibayati Gopi, one who is always drinking the nectar of Krishna. They are the most intimate Vrajavasis, the most intimate devotees who can open the door in the house of Krishna, the most intimate family members. Muni Gana Nrupa Avariya Shankulentaha Sadasi Yudhishtira Rajasuya Esham Arahanamupapeda Ikshaniyo Mama Drushi Gochara Yesha Aviratma. Munigana, the great learned sages, Nupavarya, the great ruling kings, Shankule, in the great assembly of Antaha Sadasi, conference, Yudhishthira, of Emperor Yudhishthira, Rajasuye, a royal performance of sacrifice, Esham, of all great elites, Arahanam, respectful worship, Upapeda, received, Ikshaniya, the object of attraction, Mamamai, Drishi, sight, Gochara, within the view of Esha Avihi, personally present, Atma, the soul. So the Rajsuya Yajna, which was performed by Yudhishthir Maharaj, at the time there was an assembly of all elite men of the world, the royal and the learned orders. And in that great assembly, Lord Krishna is also worshipped. Lord Krishna was worshipped by one and all as the most exalted personality of Godhead. This happened during my presence. And I remembered the incident in order to keep my mind upon the Lord. So Rajsuya Yajna was performed by Yudhishthira after gaining the victory in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So it is said, I remembered that incident. It all happened during my presence. Now, the question may come after the battlefield. At the time on the battlefield, Bhishma Deva is lying on the arrows of bed of arrows. So how is it that he is present? He knows everything what had happened. Though he is there in the battlefield, lying on the bed of arrows, all this happened before him only. Because everybody came to pay obeisances to Bhishma Deva also. That's why Bhishma Deva is remembering this Rajasuya Yajna. And any other reports were going that Krishna is worshipped by everybody, one and all. That is why he says, I am remembering this incident so that I can fix up my mind in Krishna. So here, once again, Munikara. Now Bhishma is relating the great fortune, which is directly visible. He says that all the sages, they exclaim, oh, what beauty, what greatness. So in the Rajasuya Yajna also, everybody were worshipping Krishna. Upapeda means worshipping. So let that Lord, who is accepted by everybody, be the object of my eyes. Okay. Jumur, read. Jumur.
Mataji, can I read on her behalf?
Wait. And Krishna Priya will read. You have read Navan's. Krishna
Yes,
Priya.
Mataji. Hare Krishna, Danda Pranam, Mataji.
Yeah.
मुनिगण नृपवर्य संकुलेन्तः सदसि युधिष्ठिर राजसूय येषाम् अर्हणमुपपेद ईक्षणीयो मम दृशि गोचर एष आविरात्मा. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. At the Rajasuya Yajna performed by Maharaja Yudhishthira, there was the greatest assembly of all the elite men of the world, the royal and learned orders, and in that great assembly, Lord Sri Krishna was worshipped by one and all as the most exalted personality of Godhead. This happened during my presence, and I remembered the incident in order to keep my mind upon the Lord. Purport. After gaining victory in the battle of Kurukshetra, Maharaja Yudhishthira, the emperor of the world, performed the Rajasuya sacrificial ceremony. The emperor in those days, upon his ascendance to the throne, would send a challenge horse all over the world to declare his supremacy, and any ruling prince or king was at liberty to accept the challenge and express his tacit willingness either to obey or to disobey the supremacy of the particular emperor. One who accepted the challenge had to fight with the emperor and establish his own supremacy by victory. The defeated challenger would have to sacrifice his life, making a place for another king or ruler. So Maharaja Yudhishthira also dispatched such challenges horses all over the world. And every ruling prince and king all over the world accepted Maharaja Yudhishthira's leadership as the emperor of the world. After this, all rulers of the world under the regime of Maharaja Yudhishthira were invited to participate in the great sacrificial ceremony of Rajasurya. Such performances required hundreds of millions of dollars, and it was not an easy job for a petty king. Such a sacrificial ceremony, being too expensive and also difficult to perform under present circumstances, is now impossible in this age of Kali. Nor can anyone secure the required expert priesthood to take charge of the ceremony. So, after being invited, all the kings and great learned sages of the world assembled in the capital of Maharaja Yudhishthira. The learned society, including the great philosophers, religionists, physicians, scientists, and all great sages, was invited. That is to say, the Brahmins and Kshatriyas were the topmost leading men in society, and they were all invited to participate in the assembly. The Vaisyas and Sudras were unimportant elements in society, and they are not mentioned herein. Due to the change of social activities in the modern age, the importance of men has also changed in terms of occupational positions. So, in that great assembly, Lord Sri Krishna was the cynosure of neighboring eyes. Everyone wanted to see Lord Krishna, and everyone wanted to pay his humble respect to the Lord. Bhishmadeva remembered all this and was glad that his worshipful Lord, the personality of Godhead, was present before him in his actual formal presence. So to mediate on the Supreme Lord is to mediate on the activities, form, pastimes, name, fate, God. That is
Your voice is not coming properly.
meditation on the imperfect
Your voice is not coming properly, Haribol.
Bhakti Gita 5.
Wait.
Not
I think you're not in the range. Nikhil, read from here, Narayana.
that is easier than what is imagined as meditation on the impersonal feature of the Supreme. In Bhagavad Gita 12.5, it is clearly stated that to meditate upon the impersonal feature of the Supreme is very difficult. It is practically no meditation or simply a waste of time because very seldom is the desired result obtained. The devotees, however, meditate upon the Lord's factual form and the pastimes, and therefore the Lord is easily approachable by the devotees. This is also stated in the Bhagavad Gita 12.9. The Lord is non-different from his transcendental activities. It is indicated also in this shloka that Lord Krishna, while actually present before human society, especially in connection with the battle of Kurukshetra, was accepted as the greatest personality of the time, although he might not have been recognized as the supreme personality of Godhead. The propaganda that a very great man is worshipped as God after his death is misleading because a man after his death cannot be made into God. Nor can the personality of Godhead be a human being even when he is personally present. Both ideas are misconceptions. The idea of anthropomorphism cannot be applicable in the case of Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna.
42nd last verse for today. And this is the last prayers also. Tam imam maham majam sharira bhajam hrididishtitam atma kalpitanam pratidrushamiva naikadharkamekam samadhigatosmi vidhuta bheda moha. Tam, that Lord, that personality of Godhead, Imam, now present before me, Aham, I, Ajam, unborn. The unborn, Asharira, Bhajam, of the conditional soul, Hridi, in the heart, Tishtitam, situated, Atma, the super soul, Kalpitanam, of the speculators, Pradi Trisham, in every direction, Eva like, Na Ekada, not one, Arkam, the sun, Ekam, one only, Samadhi, Gatasmi, I have undergone trance and meditation, Vidhuta, being freed from Veda Moha, misconception of duality. Now I can meditate with full concentration upon that one Lord, Sri Krishna, now present before me, because now I have transcended the misconceptions of duality in regard to his presence in everyone's heart. Even in the hearts of mental speculators, he is in everyone's heart. The sun may be perceived differently, but the sun is same. The sun is one. So Lord is one, Lord is present in everyone's heart. I am completely freed of the illusion of differences in the Lord's various forms. He is that one person who, though appearing to be many like the sun seen by many people, now Lord, he appears to me in his beautiful charioteer form. And then he's also in my heart. He's present in the heart of all the jivas. So that has been given. So the dualities, what are the duality? Lord is present in various forms, but he is one single person who is perceived in different forms. So indirectly he says, you are Vijaya Sakha, Vijaya Ratha, Vijaya Kutumbarat, Vijaya Ratha Kutumbe Ratirmastuhu Charanarati Paramasya Tasya Me. So in this way, Bhishma is desiring that form of Lord as a charioteer. At the same time, he says, you are present in different forms also. And also, you are present in everyone's heart as Paramatma. I love your this form of as being the charioteer. But Lord has multifarious forms. Okay. Dayasagar Prabhu, can you read?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Tamimamaham ajam sharira bhajam hriddi drishthitam atma kalpitanam pratidrishamiva naikadarkam ekam samadhigatosmi viduta beta moha. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Now I can meditate with full concentration upon the one Lord, Sri Krishna, now present before me, because now I have transcended the misconceptions of duality in regard of his presence in everyone's heart, even in the hearts of the mental speculators. He is in everyone's heart. The sun may be perceived differently, but the sun is one. Purport. Lord Shri Krishna is the one absolute supreme personality of Godhead, but he has expanded himself into his multiplanary portions by his inconceivable energy. The conception of duality is due to ignorance of his inconceivable energy. In the Bhagavad Gita 9.11, the Lord says that only the foolish take him to be a mere human being. Such foolish men are not aware of his inconceivable energies. By his inconceivable energy, he is present in everyone's heart, as the sun is present before everyone all over the world. The Paramatma feature of the Lord is an expansion of his plenary portions. He expands himself as Paramatma in everyone's heart by his inconceivable energy, and he also expands himself in the glowing effulgence of Brahmajyoti by expansion of his personal glow. It is stated in Brahma Samhita that the Brahmajyoti is his personal glow. Therefore, there is no difference between him and his personal glow, Brahmajyoti, or his plenary portions as Paramatma. Less intelligent persons who are not aware of this fact consider Brahmajyoti and Paramatma to be different from Sri Krishna. This misconception of duality is completely removed from the mind of Bhishmadeva, and he is now satisfied that it is Lord Shri Krishna only who is all in everything. This enlightenment is attained by the great Mahatmas or devotees, as it is stated in Bhagavad Gita 7.19, that Vasudeva is all in everything, and that there is no existence of anything without Vasudeva. Vasudeva, or Lord Shri Krishna, is the original Supreme Person, as now confirmed by Mahajana, and therefore both the neophyte and the pure devotees must try to follow in his footsteps. That is the way of the devotional line. The worshipable object of Bhishmadeva is Lord Shri Krishna as Parthasarati, and that of the gopis is the same, Krishna in Vrindavana, as the most attractive Shyamasundara. Sometimes less intelligent scholars make a mistake and think that the Krishna of Vrindavana and that of the battle of Kurukshetra are different personalities. But for Bhishmadeva, this misconception is completely removed. Even the impersonalists' object of destination is Krishna and the impersonal Jyoti. and the yogi's destination of Paramatma is also Krishna. Krishna is both Brahmajyoti and localized Paramatma, but in Brahmajyoti or Paramatma, there is no Krishna or sweet relation with Krishna. In his personal feature, Krishna is both Paratasarati and Shyamasundara of Vrindavana. But in his personal feature, he is neither in the Brahmajyoti nor in the Paramatma. Great Mahatmas like Bhishmadeva realize all these different features of Lord Shri Krishna, and therefore they worship Lord Krishna, knowing him as the origin of all features. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So here he is free from all the dualities. Krishna is present in all the three features as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. That has been spoken here. And Krishna is present in everyone's heart, but I am so fortunate that I can concentrate on Krishna, who is loved by the gopis. Brajendrandan is Krishna. So in this way, Parthasarthi Krishna, Brajendrandan Krishna. So in this way, Krishna has been glorified. So any doubts you can ask. We have only few verses to complete this chapter. So after this, there will be examination for you after 1 week. Maybe 10 days. 7th, 8th, 9th chapter. Now start studying every day. Yes, any questions?
Yes,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna Mataji.
Hmm.
Please, Nirmala Mataji, you continue.
Yeah, tell.
What is Moshal Leela?
Moshe Leela, the ending past tense of the Yadavas, when they fought with each other. Moshala past time.
Okay.
Hmm.
And the second question is a spiritual form like the Lord's, either two-handed or four-handed, is attained by the devotees of the Lord. Two-handed or four-handed is attained by the devotees of the Lord, either in the Vaikuntha or in the Golok planet. By the according to the original form of the soul. What does it mean?
Yeah, according to, like, somebody is attracted to the opulence of Krishna, he attains the 400 form of Krishna, Narayana Swarupa. 200 form, the sweet form of Krishna. There is a sweet dealings of Krishna in Vraja. Somebody is appreciating the sweetness of Krishna. They can attain the 200 form of Krishna.
Mataji, can I ask? Oh, sorry.
Only last question. The Vaishya and Shudras were unimportant elements in the society. Why they were regarded as unimportant elements in the society?
Yeah, in the contribution to knowledge and contribution to the protection, they are unimportant. But to regard to trading and service, they are important. But here unimportant because to give the knowledge, it is Brahmanas, to protect the society, is Kshatriyas. So they are lesser than that, just to say that.
Thank you.
Okay, Basandani Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji, I also have 3 questions. My first question is, it said that in the battlefield, those soldiers who died, seeing the Lord, they attained liberation, salvation. Mataji, what about their families, their wives? They also sacrificed because of this battle.
The talk
Did
has
they
not been
also
given.
get?
Why
Did
we
they
should
also?
talk? Acharyas have not spoken. Na? When the things which Acharyas have not spoken, why we should speak?
No, I'm not speaking. I'm just asking, Mataji.
No. There is nothing to ask. There are certain things which need not be asked because it is said, whoever are connected with Krishna, let that be Guru, let that be a sannyasi, let that be a demon, we should not ask about their families.
Okay.
Hmm.
Mataji, then in one of the shlokas, 1.9.39, it said that they died. They died by looking at Krishna. So if somebody is at the time of leaving the body, he is looking at Krishna's deity or a photo, does he get the salvation, or
Again,
chanting?
looking, one is consciousness. Let the mind, let my eyes has not been told. Let the mind. Mind consciousness focused in Krishna.
No, I
You
could
may
not understand.
place Lord's photo on the person who is dying. He may look, but his thoughts may be something else.
Okay. That is
Hmm.
why chanting is more important.
That is why focusing is more important. Even chanting also verbally is one. Focused chanting is one.
Okay. My third question is, at the time of leaving body, remembering gopis or remembering Krishna are both at the same level?
Remembering gopis, remembering
Krishna.
You have to while chanting, you just have to see the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Yes. Who are we to remember Krishna? Who are we to? That much qualification we don't have. We don't know even the word gopi. Just because Prabhupada is written, we are just like parrot, we are saying gopi, gopi.
Okay. Right.
This is our Chotu Gopi. Did
Huh?
you say some verse?
Sorry? Acha, Chotu.
Our
Okay.
small gopi here.
Yeah,
Oi.
correct.
Chant.
Vishnuvacha itimati rupakal Vedave Krishna Bhagavati Sartaka Pungave Vibhumni Swasru Mukhapagate Vache Vihartu Prakriti Mahya Bhuvan Kamanam Tamalavarnam Ravikara Gauravaram
33rd verse. Look at the 33rd verse. She's chanting that.
Vijaya Sakhe Ruchiyada Ratira Tume Navaya.
I'm going to give full marks in BV. A small young student who has passed out Bhakti Vaibhav exam. First and second verse of the prayers of Bhishma Deva has been chanted. 32 and 33. Paritanam Pavnibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo. Vaishnavindi ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. She has memorized 2 verses. Very good. After memorizing all the verses of Bhishma Deva, you will chant. Okay? Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Krishna.